Welcome to the Fantasy Football Anonymous Show, brought to you, as always, by no one and by nothing. I'm Joe Osno, here with Robert Shaw. No Matthew Schroeder again today. The guy is slacking. This is 3 missed shows so far this season. I really don't know what's going on. Got to step up his game. Anyway, it is week 15.
15.
And
already.
Yeah, this is sad, guys. We're almost at the end of the NFL season, but we've still got a lot of great playoff action. Hopefully you won your matchup last week, and if you're in a 2-week playoff format, hopefully you're looking pretty good. And we're here to hopefully help give you some good advice for these last couple weeks here. Well, we're gonna talk about what stood out to us as always in week 14 before we jump into next week. And obviously the big story this week is the injury to Carson Wentz. And it's just a devastating blow for the Eagles, even though they do manage to win that game in LA. Obviously, it's a big downgrade with Nick Foles. And Rob, what do you think this means for some of the Philly weapons?
This is a tough one because I don't think they're as good of a team with Carson Wentz, obviously. I think they're in trouble, the Eagles in general. But I will say I don't think they're completely screwed. We've seen Nick Foles play very well when he can get under a good system in Philadelphia, of all places. So as far as the weapons, I'm not panicking on Zach Ertz, Alshon Jeffrey, but I'm definitely knocking them down just a notch. I think this obviously affects them. But I don't think they're unplayable. I think they're still solid plays, depending on your matchups that the Eagles have these last 3 weeks. But if you're a Carson Wentz owner and you're not happy, but the real shame of it is that the football, Carson Wentz for him reminded me of Derek Carr. Last season, getting to the playoffs and then having that injury late. It's just sad to see, especially at quarterback, such a valuable position.
Yeah. Obviously, it's a downgrade. I think Ertz is still a top 4 tight end, and Alshon Jeffrey might be more of a wide receiver 2 than a 1. But yeah, it's just tough on their team in general, especially in a really tough NFC. It's going to be tough for them. For a team that really had a legit Super Bowl aspirations.
Yeah.
But yeah, from a game standpoint, which game stood out to you the most a week ago?
Well,
the Buffalo Bills in the snow.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll mention that one real quick. Schroeder's not here. We can talk a little more. By the way, I'm winning. I'm off. I've missed no shows. It's just circumstance. It's whatever. But no, in all seriousness, the Bills game, it was really funny because it was really an awful game, yet fascinating to watch with that snow. Never seen anything like it. And it was ugly finishing at quarterback. Just a really fun game. It was a game that we were joking about how awful it was, like this matchup, and it ended up being really entertaining. So, that was pretty cool. I don't take much from that game going forward, but it was a cool, nice little surprise. As far as I've been hearing a lot of chit chat about the Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott looked, much better, and the Cowboys, they're 7-6, they have a chance. Here's the thing, guys, they don't have a chance. I'm saying it right now. I'm ending the talk about the Cowboys right now. This is a team that has been wildly inconsistent. They have struggled extremely since Zeke Elliott's suspension has come into play. And Dak Prescott has not looked good. Now, last week, they had a good game against the Giants. That's my point. It's the Giants, like the Bills beating the Colts. I'm not going to crown them as a playoff winner for beating the Colts in, winter wonderland. My same thoughts go out, about the Cowboys. They don't have a chance. You got the Falcons. You got the Seahawks. You even have the Packers getting Aaron Rodgers back. The Cowboys have zero chance. I'm saying it now, putting that argument to rest. It's the Giants. Anybody can beat the Giants. So I don't know. Joe, what do you think their shot is right now? The Cowboys.
It's going to be tough for them, especially since they do have to play Seattle in week 16. But they have looked better, and if they get Zeke Elliott back, they do have a chance, if however small. But I prefer some of those other teams that
yeah
mentioned.
Now, say like if they somehow win their next two games, then I like them, and I like him in week 17. I think they have a chance with Zeke, but I don't know. You lose a dynamic back like that. They did a little better, this week. The running game's been going a little better, but I just don't see it happening. What's something you picked up this week?
Well, I'm going to talk about the New England Patriots, who really struggled on Monday Night Football in Miami. Just that defense is completely full of practice squad players. They're really limited in what they can call, and they really could not do anything to stop Jay Cutler and that dynamic Miami offense. Kenyon Drake, I will say he did play very well in this game. Really carved up that defense. He strung together a couple of great games here in a row, and I'll be interested to see, as we always say on the show. I'll be interested to see that Miami. If Miami can keep it up next week in that weak AFC, see if that their thin playoff hopes are alive.
Yeah.
And I will be more fascinated to see if that New England offense can rebound from what was a horrendous effort by Tom Brady and most of their skill position players. A really inconsistent Miami Dolphins team. I don't know what to make of them. Why don't they play like this all the time, Rob? It's unbelievable.
I'll tell you what.
Fans have to be pulling their hair out.
Yeah,
after a game like this.
I don't make anything of it. It's the same old Jay Cutler, Miami Dolphins. Just inconsistency. They'll beat Buffalo, I'm sure, at least once. But I think it said a little more about the Patriots. I feel like that they have some struggles. They have some weaknesses on that defense, and the offense the line just collapsed. I mean, Brady was getting rocked. He didn't have a chance to get the ball to his receivers and wideouts, and yes, receivers and wideouts. I said that on purpose. Looking ahead, speaking of the Patriots, this is the big game everybody's been marking on their calendar. You got the Patriots and the Steelers. And, I hate to be one of those in-the-moment guys. A team's doing poorly, so you pick against them. I think the Steelers can pull this one out. I can't believe I'm saying this. Historically, they just haven't matched up against New England. But this Baltimore Ravens team, which I underestimated mid-season, I just thought they weren't very good. Their defense was up and down, but the Ravens have played excellent, especially on the defensive side of the ball, and they've really gotten the running game going. And they were able to move the ball against the Steelers. Steelers' defense is kind of taking a little step back recently, which kind of concerns me. But I do see this as being a good old-fashioned shootout, because right now the Pittsburgh Steelers offense cannot be stopped. That stat line, which I had against our colleague Matthew Schroeder, he was not happy, rightfully so. But Bell, Roethlisberger, Brown, they just went off, and this was one of the best defenses in the league. It was just unreal how they played, how well they put this together. And I think they're on fire right now. I do have concerns about the defense, but so do I for the Patriots side. And they have not been blocking the ball. They have not been throwing it downfield well. Brandon Cooks has dropped off the face of the earth, it seems like, the past few weeks. They get Hogan back. Maybe he adds a deep threat. but you know, I didn't see much from him against Miami. So I like the Steelers, and yes, I am saying this. New England might be in danger of not getting the bye. Jacksonville is right on their tail, and Jacksonville has played some very good football, winning a lot of games. They could sneak up and snatch it from New England. It is possible. It's not unreal. And, you know, that could really make a big difference for the Patriots down the stretch.
Yeah, I feel like these are two defenses that just cannot stop anybody. Honestly, I feel like this will be a game that's won by whoever has the ball last.
Yeah, except the Bills. They can stop the Bills. Anyway.
True. Yeah, that New England defense had been playing much better up until last week.
Yeah.
And yeah, obviously getting Gronk back will help, I think. And Brandon Cooks, he kind of runs by people, and that's what he does. And Brady underthrew him a couple of times last game. He had his chances at a long touchdown, but they just couldn't hook up for a bomb, and that's Cooks' best way of getting points, because they seem intent on not utilizing him in the short slants where they could really take advantage of his speed. And you said it, the Steelers, they just look unstoppable. If the Patriots are going to have that much trouble with Kenyon Drake, I'm scared to see what Le'Veon Bell could do to him.
Seriously.
That defense.
Yeah.
Although I will say, Baltimore just stubbornly refused to double team Antonio Brown. They matched him up one-on-one with Brandon Carr again and again, while we're seeing the New York Giants line up two corners across from Des Bryant half of that game. So maybe they should take a leaf out of the Giants' book and just throw two guys at Brown and make someone else beat them.
Yeah, New England's really good at doing that. I'm a little down on Brown this week, but I'm not, because he's Antonio Brown. He's been on fire. I mean, he's my number one receiver. Patriots can't guard the pass. But I will say I do have a slight hesitation with him, because the Patriots generally do a good job taking out that number one target. Bill Belichick's very big on focusing on that guy. But really, is it going to matter? I don't know. I really don't think it is. I mean, obviously, I have a DraftKings right now that I did this before this show, and I had Roethlisberger, Bell, and Brown, because I think they could really put up a lot of points together, and just, you know, went sleepers the rest of the way. This is going to be fun. This game is going to be the shootout that the Ravens game was, but we're actually expecting this to be a shootout. I was a little shocked at that finish.
Yeah, I'm fascinated to see the rest of your team, because they cannot be very good players if you got those three.
Hey, you'd be surprised. Maybe I'll share it with the audience at the end. So,
all right. One game I'm really excited for this upcoming week is obviously my Carolina Panthers getting to face the return of Aaron Rodgers. Hey, Ron, where you at? He's back, and yeah, it's right in time for them to make a kind of a desperation push here for the playoffs. Obviously, I think you can play Aaron Rodgers right away in fantasy. I know, Rob, I think you're starting him in a league. So am I, because he's just that kind of player. First, no-brainer Hall of Fame quarterback. And I think Jordy Nelson immediately becomes playable, if not a wide receiver one that he was, at least a wide receiver two, very safe to redeploy him. If you're a person who drafted Jordy Nelson and you're still going, kudos. I know I've been knocked out in every league where I took him, but yeah, I think this is a game where both quarterbacks should have a lot of success. That Panthers secondary is very exploitable. I think the Green Bay Packers secondary is also very beatable. So I think this is another game where we could see a ton of points scored in Charlotte. And honestly, I couldn't tell you who's going to win this game. I would lean with the Panthers, because maybe there's a bit of rust there with Rodgers, and their defense is playing well against the run. But it's going to be an exciting one.
Yeah, I think the Panthers will. I think they'll win this one. I think it'll be a great game. Another shootout. It's fun talking about shootouts. And yeah, and I say a shootout because both these teams do pretty well against the run, and so the Panthers just shut down the Vikings running game, and especially Latavius Murray for those owners out there. It's a good thing I'm not, but
it's a good thing I'm not.
But yeah, I mean, I think the Panthers will win this because I do think there will be some Aaron Rodgers rust. I don't think there will be a lot, but I think there will be one throw where, maybe that collarbone is feeling something and it'll be underthrown a little bit and they'll get an interception. And that could be the difference in this game. I think it's going to be exciting. One last thing I want to say about what I learned, especially through the season. We talk about fantasy a lot. Davante Adams is a really good player. Have you noticed that, Joe?
Yeah, he's kind of taken over as their number one receiver. He was when Brett Hundley was in there, he was pretty much the primary read on all of his throws. And with the kind of player Hundley is, he only typically makes one to two before he takes off running. But he's played pretty well.
Yeah, I thought he was garbage after he failed his second year when he had that opportunity, and had a great year the next season. And I think we were all in agreement when we were talking about before the season. He was the number 7 guy last year, receivers, and we all were like, that's gonna tone back a little bit. I still liked him as top 20. I know Schroeder thought he was really gonna fall off. But, of course, talk about the guy who's wrong out on the show right now. But seriously, he's really impressed me. Top 10 yet again, even with Hundley in there. He just makes a lot of plays. He's a playmaker, and I really like him going forward. If you have him in Dynasty, keep him. I think he's not just a guy who – Rodgers makes him great, but – he was good with a quarterback who played better in Hundley, but yeah, he's good. So I just wanted to point that out to the audience. Buy on him. It's the real deal. Don't sell him.
You wanted to point that out after I dropped him in Dynasty after that terrible aforementioned year, and you picked him up. So
I did pick him up. And it's funny, Joe.
Good job.
Sharing that team. I think I may have convinced you to drop Davante Adams, potentially. I can't remember. And then I inherited a team, and I was like, ooh, Davante Adams.
I think my own disgust convinced me to drop him after that bad year.
But, Joe, I did convince you to pick up Darren Sproles, in which I traded Zach Ertz to you for Darren Sproles.
Fair enough.
Traded Zach Ertz for who did you trade him for?
Julian Edelman. But he immediately got hurt.
That could pay off in the long run. Ertz could drop off, you'd never know.
Could be.
But
anyway, one more thing I wanted to talk about. Rams Seahawks, battle for the NFC West. Who do you like in this one?
Rams Seahawks.
It's another good game that I think could be a shootout, surprisingly.
I think this one has more potential to not be a shootout than the other two games we talked about. However, I'm actually going with the Seahawks on this one. They got the edge on the Rams in the fact they had beat them earlier this year, even though Cooper Kupp should have had that catch. Right? They were one play away.
Yeah, and Todd Gurley fumbles out of the back of the end zone.
Yeah, it was just a bizarre game, and I think the Rams overall are a better team. But yeah, I like the Seahawks. I like that the way Russell Wilson has matches up in this one. I think this could be a really good game for him. And I'll be interested to see with Mike Davis and McKasick, they're kind of finding something there. I've had this conclusion that none of the running backs are ever good. Alex Collins, they cut him. He's good in Baltimore. It's because their O-line can't block. Just goes to show you need a good O-line. Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like this game is really a coin flip. I like Seattle. I like when things get rough, they usually bounce back. And I just think this is their week. What do you think?
For me, it depends on the health of their linebackers. If Bobby Wagner and KJ Wright can't play, then I think there's a good chance that the Rams could just ride Todd Gurley to a victory. But as well as Russell Wilson's playing, it's hard to really bet against him.
Yeah.
Even when he throws 3 interceptions, he turns in a great effort last week. So
yeah, I like him in every good week.
As many injuries as there are in that Seattle defense, I think this game could get up to another high total. That's why I wanted to bring it up. We like to talk about the shootouts here.
We do, and
we're fantasy football anonymous. So
that's right. We
care about the high point totals, and that's about it.
we were talking, about the 3 best games. Okay, you know what? Let's give some love to the defense. I like the Ravens over the Browns. Start the Ravens defense. Do your DFS play. Can't go wrong. Despite that effort last week, it was the Steelers. What do you expect?
Speaking of defensive plays this week, I think the New Orleans Saints are a great one. Bryce Petty is not at all good, and I think the Saints swarm the Jets. So good streamer for me.
Yeah, I hate that you said that because now I'm going to second guess myself and put in the Saints and DraftKings. And, of course, Bryce Petty's going to have 5 touchdowns and run one in, That's just always –
It'll be like Matt Forte.
Matt Forte, yeah.
It'll be even more frustrating.
Yep.
All right, well, thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you'll stop back with us next week. And enjoy the football, enjoy the playoffs. Hope you win. And remember, stay addicted.